1996. That's what everybody's talking about right now, 1996. So here we are. We've had 9 straight days in the Dow. Hasn't happened since 1996. This is incredible. I'm hearing people talking and writing about this incredible movement upward, and they're using the word economy. They're not using market. So yes, we've seen this dramatic increase in the markets, but what about the economy? And they are comparing 1996 to 2013, the last time we had this kind of run up and optimism in the economy. So I had to go back and look at 1996. Let me just take a look at it for you and explain it to you. First of all, we need to understand that in 1996, we had a national debt of just over $5.2 trillion. In case you haven't noticed, that's a far cry from $16.8 trillion. So that's what we had in 1996. Well, we've had a lot of things. The economy has grown. GDP growth has happened. We've had inflation. We've had more people working, so on and so forth. We're a better economy. Maybe we're a stronger economy. We make more goods. We produce more services. The military's gotten bigger. Okay, I'll give you that to a certain extent. But $5.2 trillion is probably a manageable debt, because I don't know that we'll ever be out of debt. But let's just talk about the deficit between income coming into the government and the amount of spending that the government was doing in 1996. So in 1996, the year that 2013 is being compared to right now, we had a deficit of $107 billion. Our deficit now is $1.2 trillion. We had a deficit of $107 billion. That's not the good news. That's not the stark difference that I'm talking about. It was $107 billion in 1996. That's the difference between the money we took in the government and the money that we spent. And yes, we had a deficit, and it was $107 billion. But, remember earlier I was talking about trend lines? It was down. The $107 billion was down from the year before, where it was $203 billion. That was down from the year before that, from $255 billion in deficit. That was down from the year before that of $290 billion. And the $107 billion deficit that we had in 1996 was on its way to the lowest deficit that we had seen in a very long time in 1997, when it hit $21 billion. We were as close in 1997 to a balanced budget that we had ever been since 1970. And they have the nerve to compare this economy today in 2013 to what was going on in 1996 during the Clinton years, when we had a contraction in the size of government, GDP growth at an unbelievable pace, and we had our deficit decreasing throughout the Clinton years till it got all the way to 1997, where it was $21.9 billion. That's almost nothing compared to the $1.2 trillion that we have today. The unemployment rate in 1996 was 5.4%. Well, that's not that great. What, are you compared to what we have now? The real unemployment rate is every bit of 13%. And we had a higher labor participation rate, and it was 5.4%. But here's the other factor. That 5.4% was the lowest since 1989. It was on its way in 1996 to a 4% unemployment rate. It continued to get lower till it reached 4.4% in the year 2000. Do you see the trends? Where it was going? These are economic numbers. These aren't market numbers. I'm giving you the differences between the two economies, between 2013 and the trend lines that were going on in 1996. Nobody's talking about this. The 4% unemployment rate, well, if you have a 4% unemployment rate like we did in 2000, you don't have enough workers. We actually needed immigration to fulfill, because 4.5% unemployment is considered full employment. We had a 4%. It was the lowest since 1968 when it was 3.6%. 1996. Comparable to the economy of 2013 that everybody's so excited about. The poverty rate in 1996 was, there were 36.5 million people in the poverty rate, which was 13.7%. 13.7% of the population was living at or below the poverty rate. This year, or I'll just say the end of 2012, our poverty rate was 49, or 15% of the population, 49.7 million. We're at 50 million people at the poverty rate, just over 15% of the population compared to where we were in 1996. And they want to compare that. The Fed fund rate in 1996 was 5.25%. It wasn't zero. You could actually make money in CDs. In 1996, the median income of a family was $34,652. That was in 1996. Throughout the Clinton era and years beyond that, the median income of a family increased on a regular basis until 2007. In 2007, it reached $49,258,000. It's been going down since. The median income of the family has been going down. It's below, it's $4,000, more than $4,000, less than it was in 2007. Does this sound like an economy that we ought to be excited about? When you look at 1996 and all the trends and what was going on in the economy, not in the markets, forget the markets. Yes, the markets were going up, but it was as a result of the strength that we had in the economy. So the numbers that we have today are confirmation of what I've been saying about the false positive that the Federal Reserve has created, because it is not based on economic facts that should be driving the markets, It's not based on that. It's based on this false positive that the Fed has created. That's why there's a huge difference. And it makes me sick when I hear mainstream media talking about this idea that we're so much stronger today, talking about this idea that the markets are going up and the economy is getting better. Not when you've got a poverty rate that is going in the wrong direction. Not when you've got unemployment. We have more people unemployed today than we did in 2008. That's not the right direction, folks. Not when we have a budget deficit that is growing larger and larger every single year. Not when we've got more government growing larger and larger every year. Not when we have a national debt that is $16.6 trillion and rising compared to $5.2 trillion during 1996. Not when we have a Fed fund rate that is zero and nobody can earn anything on a CD or a money market account. Not when the median income of a family is going down, not up. You can't have any real recovery in the economy. Do you see the insanity in this? And people say to me and ask me, Dan, you're pessimistic on, even when the good numbers come out, you have a hard time being spreading the good news about it. No, I don't. The numbers that came out today, I said they're great numbers. I'm happy. I'm excited about it. Maybe it's a trend that things are in the economy getting better. But that's not why the markets are up today. The markets are up today based on a wealth effect that the Fed has finally, after trashing the dollar for 4 years, has finally created. That's why the markets are up. The numbers just don't add up, folks.